Hi everyone, and welcome to How Good's Footy in Asia, AFL Asia's official podcast. I'm your co-host Matty Gale, based here in Osaka, Japan. And joining me, our other co-host over in Ho Chi Minh City is Billy Bang Bang Krang. How you going there, Bill?
Yeah, not bad, Matty.
We'll get back to you very, very shortly, but more importantly today we have a special guest all the way from Hong Kong, the Hong Kong Dragons president in one big Jake McCauley. How you going there, Big Sloth?
Afternoon, guys. Very well here. Very
Excellent.
Well. Here in lockdown.
We won't muck around because we're all being directly affected by the COVID-19 and a lot at the moment compared to some of our previous podcasts. So we'll cut straight to the chase. In Osaka, Japan, we recorded our first day of over 200 cases, individual cases in one day. Yesterday in the country itself was around 1,000. It might not seem much compared to the USA or anything like that, but this secondary wave of the coronavirus is pretty rapid fire at the moment, and we're expecting it to continue that way. But probably the disappointing thing from our perspective is that there's been a lack of planning by the local government here to get around this. So fingers crossed something was in the pipeline very shortly, and I'm looking forward to an extended stay at home if that's the case. Big fella, we saw a couple of weeks ago that not so much, we'll talk about Southern China AFL and how that was shut down for the year, but you put forward a new HAFL, which was a Hong Kong-based three-team comp, including women. Where's the coronavirus at your stage, and you've since put that on ice? Where's it looking at the moment?
Yeah, good question, Matty. So obviously with the border shut down and us being landlocked into Hong Kong, the SCAFL, as we call it, the South China AFL competition's taking a hiatus for 2020. We hope to be able to boot that up in some form next year. So in the background of that, we did have at the time accessibility to some grounds here over summer. So put together a fixture, and effectively the three Hong Kong teams, so the Mighty Typhoons, the reigning premiers, the Lizards, and the never won the SCAFL Cobras. Nice little zing in there to start. We put that together, and we came up with the name, the HAFL. So that's obviously Hong Kong AFL, or we affectionately like to call ourselves Hounds. So Hounds AFL goes both ways. We put together a fixture. Everyone was very excited. We got back after the second wave of Corona here. We're now into our third wave. And in between the second and third wave, we had a really good run of training. We were capped at 50 players for training sessions due to government regulations. And I was literally, as president, doing head counts on a near minute basis and trying to keep an eye out for the popo or the sports ground security officers. So as the boys affectionately like to recall to me, there was hashtag eyes everywhere. So it was really, really healthy. We had 50 men at one end, and Will Burgess and Jess Cole with the AFLW probably had on average about 25 every night. Really good momentum. We did a couple of socials. AFL went back on TV. We all got down to McCauley's. And then all our plans were scurried with this latest third wave, which is really, really flattened Hong Kong. I've been here for 4.5 years now. And this is about as flat as I've seen everyone. It's pretty down is probably too strong a word, but it's really just taken the air out of people, especially after we had no recorded cases for a period of 2 or 3 weeks, and then bang, out of nowhere we went 60, 80, and now the last 6 days in a row it's been over 100 cases per day, the highest we've ever had. So tough times for everyone.
Yeah, we've gone from 24 active cases up to about 1,200 now. Bill, I saw overnight that Vietnam's about to go into a lockdown again, second time around. Paint the scene for us, please.
Yeah, it sounds, we're pretty proud of how well our adopted country's done till now. And now I do think these second, third waves are more dangerous than the first, because it just gets harder and harder to respond, you just don't want to go back. We've locked down Da Nang, which is central Vietnam. Thoughts are with everyone up there, but the problem is some of the guys that have tested positive had symptoms for about a month. I don't know why they hadn't really been tested then. So we're just wondering how big the fallout's going to be. There's 2 cases already in Saigon, about 35 in the last 3 days, maybe over 40 now. So again, we're sitting, holding our breath, waiting to see how bad the fallout will be. The government are extremely proactive again. They've locked down one city. They've locked down 3 hospitals and a few streets in Saigon that have been frequented. Like they literally police the lockdowns. There's people there 24/7. No one gets in and out. So fingers crossed still. But yeah, it's pretty horrible stuff.
All right, and saying that, let's get the official podcast underway. This is our 10th episode of How Good's Footy in Asia, and we've got a brilliant guest ahead of us. Let's get it underway there, Billy Bing Bang Bang Crane.
Righto, Jakey. I wanted to before we get started, Matty's already mentioned the name Sloth once, and he's also got it in the blurb for this podcast. Can you tell us how that came about?
I can. You're going to be, you and the listeners, the thousands of listeners out there in AFL Asia land are going to be very disappointed because it's quite a boring story. Long and the short of it was when I was about 15 or 16, tall growing beanpole. Obviously, when you're in your formative teenage years and you're growing a lot, you're doing a lot of sleeping, and effectively I was sleeping until 1 p.m. regularly, much to the disdain of the guys I used to go surfing with on the Gold Coast where I'm from. And effectively, one of my best mates came around to pull me out of bed about 1 p.m. during the summer holidays. And for about the 7th day in a row, I'd missed the morning surf, and it was firing, and he'd cracked it. And he basically said, "Gee, you're a sloth," and it just stuck. So it's very, 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 very boring how I got it. But I think, like most things, I've kind of really assimilated into it. Sloths by nature, if you do any research, I think they're born and then they don't move more than 500 meters in their entire life. And most Sundays, especially during lockdown, with the help of some good drops from our good friends at Wine Brothers and Stonerwood Beers, I don't move far from the couch every Sunday. So I'm really trying to assimilate into the nickname as much as I disdain for it.
So you've managed to bring it a bit more than 500 meters from your birthplace on the Goldie. So did you show up at the Dragons and say, "Guys, sloth," or how did it follow you across continent?
Yeah, I did. It's funny. No one at my footy club when I played in Melbourne. I lived in Melbourne for 10 years, and also in the Northern Territory for 5. No one used to call me that. J-Mac, 20 pack, a thousand other different nicknames, Macca, etc. Some that can't be repeated for a PG audience before 7. I effectively, Tim Smith, the ex-captain of Hong Kong Dragons, who's back in Melbourne now, he said, "Okay, introduce yourself. What's your name, your nickname, and tell us a little bit about you." And I gave up 2 nicknames, and they went with the more PG appropriate at the time, which is Sloth. So I hadn't been called that for about 10 or 15 years since school. So, but it's quite nice. So I've even got freshly prepared. This is probably my fondest moment. So it was a bit of, I don't know if you can see that, but that was my. Hopefully, I've got that in camera. That was some handy work of our merchandise manager at Champs 2 years ago. So, we have a bit of fun with it.
Michael Oozes has said on your sloth on the comments there.
That's Michael from Guangzhou from the Scorpions. So glad to hear he's dialing in. We've been trying to get him on free agency, try to get him across to the Dragons for the Champs, but I don't think we don't have a big enough checkbook at the moment. So
you'd need some quarantine as well before we can train,
amongst other things.
Bill, you on the channel?
Okay. No, we've actually covered one of the questions in the earlier stages. Just to rewind the clock a little bit, you mentioned you grew up on the Gold Coast. Can you tell us a little bit about your life, family, footy, any other sports growing up?
How long have you got? I can go through the whole CV if you like. But no, look, I was actually born. My sister and I. I'm the eldest of 4. My sister and I were born in Adelaide, and that's why when I didn't know Maddie played for Woodville West Torrens, so good Eagles boy. And look, our family moved when I was about 2 years old to the Gold Coast, so I grew up. I was there from 2 to about 22, and because obviously my dad playing a lot of footy in Adelaide, played a little bit with the Redlegs with Norwood, and then a lot at sort of district level, etc. There was never any chance, even though we relocated to the Gold Coast, for me to play anything other than AFL. This is showing my age here, but this is 30, 35 years ago. So AFL was very much a foreign concept then. The school I went to didn't have AFL posts. In fact, it took about it wasn't until I was about 25 that my school, prominent school in Melbourne, in Gold Coast, finally started playing AFL. Even though all the other schools, the other 10 schools that they played cricket and tennis and rugby and soccer, everything against, they all played AFL. But my school was really stubborn about bringing it in. They finally did. So, grew up playing for the mighty Service Paradise Demons, footy factory of the Gold Coast. So, very proud of that. A lot of people will usually know about Southport and maybe Broadbeach, where Nick Rewalt's from, as they at the time were sort of finishing schools. A lot of players would come through Labrador and Palm Beach, Currumbin and Surfers Paradise, and then go to Broadbeach and Southport before getting drafted. So those two clubs had prestige about producing a lot of AFL footballers, but really Surfers Paradise Demons, out of all the clubs on the Gold Coast over the history of time, have produced the most AFL footballers. Not me. You talk about my family, so my family is very, very active. A lot of the boys at the club like to currently remind me that I'm the third best footballer in my family. My brother played 6 games across Hawthorn and Brisbane. He was on a list for 3 years, had 5 shoulder operations, had to retire at 25. And then my sister, 2 years ago, in her first Asian Champs, went and was awarded a AFL All Asian 2 years ago in Malaysia. So that's pegged me down number 3. My baby sister is playing for Bond University in the Quaffle. So there's talk that I might be stepping down to number 4. But footy mad family. So funnily enough, none of us go for the same team. So Brock grew up Geelong fan. My baby sister St Kilda. My mum Carlton. My dad follows about 26 different clubs. And I've been a North Melbourne man ever since Wayne Carey was about the only thing you could get on TV back in the 90s. Friday night footy at about 11:30 on the Gold Coast. So,
Yep. So you're fairly well educated. Commerce degree, health sciences degree, MBA from what our research has shown. How is that pre-Hong Kong? How's your professional career been?
Yeah, so the MBA, as my dad commonly refers to as, I've got an MBA, Master of Bullshit. So that's universally recognised. So, look, I've been very fortunate. I've got a very, very supportive family. My mum in particular has been absolutely fantastic in instilling to us kids to obviously, try and do as much study as possible, whether that's school or tertiary. I went to Bond University on the Gold Coast, did the commerce to get the business side of it, and then I always wanted to work in sport. So obviously complemented the commerce with a health sciences degree, which majored in sports management. And from that, started working in sports administration management, been doing that effectively for the last 15 years. So first job out of university was working for World Surf League, the professional body. At the time it was called ASP International. So world global headquarters, believe it or not, was Coolangatta on the Gold Coast at the time, and since now relocated and rebranded in LA. So we used to have, Kelly Slater and Mark Occhilupo and all that sort of stuff coming through. Actually, I've got a funny story about my first day there that I can touch on later. And then after that, relocated direct to Darwin, and started my journey working for the AFL. So 5 years in Darwin and Alice Springs, and then about 8 or 9 years in Melbourne, working for Richmond, and then a community footy league as well. And then my sister pestered me for about 5 years to come up. Said, "Move to Hong Kong, it'll be the best thing you ever do." I was very happy in Melbourne, playing golf twice a week. Had my brother there, had all my mates there, going to live footy. You've got the Aussie Open, January, Feb. You've got the Spring Carnival. It's just for a sports tragedy like me, it's just the mecca. But my sister wore me down after about 4 years of pestering, and it's the best decision I ever made to come over here. So very, very thankful.
Yeah, we'll press on to... Sorry, Sloth. We'll press on to that now. I know you probably had another question there, Bill, but I'll cut to the chase because we're on the subject of Hong Kong. You mentioned you've been living there for 4.5 years. What do you enjoy the most about living in the thriving metropolis of Hong Kong?
Yeah, that's a question I get asked commonly, Matty. And look, I could talk about, I'm sitting here in my apartment in Happy Valley. I can walk 5 minutes up the hill. I'm in beautiful country park. Do a huge amount of hiking and trail running. For those that follow me on social media, would be Sloth Hikes is a pretty common hashtag. It could be that, could be going out in the junk boat, could be the nightlife, could be the access to travel. Living in Australia, as we all know, it's not only expensive, it takes a lot of time to travel anywhere. With 6 hours just to get out of the 5 hours just to get out of the country if you're flying from Melbourne. So the number one thing is the people, and I'm sure that's very similar to everyone around the region, especially in the expats communities. That there's a different, without being disparaging to people that don't live abroad or work abroad at some stage, I think there's a certain type of type A personality. Say yes to a lot of things. People who venture over abroad, and having a football club like the Dragons, especially we're quite a big club, 120 to 150 members. Immediately you're part of this community and this family, and it definitely be the people. So it's I'm sure that's shared by people in other parts of Asia as well.
Can I on that? The current kind of political climate in Hong Kong, we're definitely not going to go far down that rabbit hole, but does that worry you at all?
I openly like living here, so I'm not going to touch on the dirty laws.
Are there genuine risks amongst the expat community, or worries, I mean?
Look, I think it's all a little bit too early at the moment. I think it's a great unknown. To be brutally honest, my department of work got 20 odd staff. I'm the only Guilo expat, as we white expat as we call them here in Chinese Guilo, and I can visibly see that it's affecting some of the staff, both young and old. Whether it's just a great unknown. I think us as humans in any form of life, if you know what the situation is going to be, then you can put coping mechanisms into place to be able to deal with that, as grave or as bad as the situation might be. But there's just so much uncertainty. No one knows what the effect will have, that whether that's individuals, whether it's Guilos, whether it's locals, whether it's big corporations, whether, it's just, there's a lot of grey matter at the moment. I really feel I've been coming here for sort of 20 years. I've got a lot of family up here. We come up here school holidays since I was in high school. So I really do have a lot of empathy for the Hong Kong people. They're such warm, embracing, gentle, respectful people. I think that's why Hong Kong and Japan, where Gailey lives, I think that's why they really, a lot of Hong Kongers call Japan their second home, because of, very, very same culture and personality traits. So I do feel for them, because, not only have we got the COVID since January this year, but we have a double whammy. We had March to December of protests here as well. So, and that caused a huge amount of disruption to, individuals and businesses as well. So for most of the world that's been dealing with COVID since, January, February, for the past 6 months, here in Hong Kong, it's effectively, the betterment of 18 months, 2 years. So it's been an amazing time to live through.
Yeah. I can only imagine. Before going too far into the Dragons, you guys are a big part of the South China AFL, the SCAFL. Can you tell us what a normal season looks like in the SCAFL, and the involvement of Port Adelaide, and how the games sort of changed in the region because of the league?
Yeah, look, really, really good point. So I've only been on the committee and president. I mean, on the committee 3 years, president last 2 years. So the formation of the SCAFL was a very long time before me. I don't have the exact year at the top of my head, but I know Dwight Stutchbury's father, who has since passed, did a huge amount to help with the formation of the league. There's been some other older guys around the league, Darren Whitfield, etc., that helped with that. In essence, the SCAFL is 3, or it used to be 4 actually, Hong Kong teams: the Typhoons, Cobras, Lizards, and used to be the Scorpions. Scorpions since folded due to player numbers. And then we would have 2 or 3 sides from Guangzhou. So in the last year, which was last year, we had 3 from Hong Kong and 3 from Guangzhou. They actually have more than that. I think they've got a pool of 5 or 6 teams, and they play within each other as a feeder. And whoever finishes in the top 3 then comes into the SCAFL. And effectively, it's a 5-round series. We have 2 in Guangzhou and 3 in Hong Kong. The only reason we have more here is it's a lot the Chinese boys don't need a visa to come across the border. We do. And very commonly the visa is 2 entries, and it's very expensive as well. So it's just easy for us to go there twice. So usually it's 4 home and away rounds, and then we have a grand final day. They're shortened games, no dissimilar to obviously the AFL Asian Championships as well, usually half an hour games. And yeah, obviously because of COVID this year, we just made a decision that we're going to have to put that on ice. And also to make it more efficient. In the past, some of our teams were travelling from Hong Kong, 2-hour train trip, get to Guangzhou, and you only played 2 games for half an hour. It's a lot of travel time versus what you're playing. Now it's complemented by a lot of time drinking cans as well, which is which is part of the best part of going up. But we just wanted to make it a little bit more efficient. So what we had set up for this year was Hong Kong would host a whole day carnival like Asian Champs. So play from 8:30 in the morning through till 5. Everyone would play each other once. So you'd play the 5 other teams, and then you'd have a finals. We'd do that once in Hong Kong and once in Guangzhou. We worked it out. You actually get more footy and less travel time and just as much drinking time. So the footy to drinking ratio as a president is very, very important for me. And under my leadership will continue to be a number 1 priority.
Matty prefers to call it socialising these days. AFL Asia's official term.
Yeah, there hasn't been enough socialising this year.
So the Hong Kong Dragons are obviously a powerhouse of Asian footy. What do you think's made the club so successful, and what are the things that you've enjoyed so much since being involved, so much so that you would become the president?
Yeah. Look, really good question. So we've obviously been around a long time. In fact, last year was actually our 30th. We were going to do a 30. It kind of snuck up on us. Quite a mass exodus of club stalwarts over the past 12 to 24 months. So we're going to do a 30+1 this year, and then obviously COVID hit. So we'll try and boot that up and do something next year. I think the legacy of it has really been on the foundations of, guys like Farmer, Michael Robinson Farmer, Gary Wines, who's here 20-odd years, player, coach, all-Asian representative in his first ever Asian Champs and then his last ever Asian Champs. So that'll take some beating. But I think it really dawned on me when I went to my first president's meeting, AFL Asia, and meeting a lot of the other presidents in person for the first time at Champs, was that, speaking to the other countries, it just showed how we have an embarrassment of riches insofar as help goes. We are very, very lucky. I've got a huge committee. I mean, I've got, there's probably 9 or 10 different subcommittees, of which there's between maybe 2 to 5 people on each subcommittee. I've got a committee in total of maybe 15, 16 people. And as the adage goes, many hands make light work. We like to use the term "many hounds make light work." And really, even outside of those 15, if it's on match day, setting up the grounds, going on esky runs, beer runs, food runs, scoring, umpiring, whatever it happens to be, everyone here is just, you never have to ask anyone twice. So if you ask them to do something, they'll do that. So we're very, very blessed to have a big club in the number of people, but B, the amount of people that really want to pitch in and help. So that's kind of the fabric of the Dragons.
Yeah. Sir Slothington, you took over the presidency reins from Justin Barbera, and he was a fantastic contributor towards footy in Asia, not only with the Hong Kong Dragons, but also at an AFL Asia level as well. How did you assume the role, and what sort of challenges have you faced since you've taken on the gig?
Yeah, good question. So I arrived 4 or so years ago. At the time, Mark Mastoris was the president then. Maz did an amazing job sort of really transforming the professionalism of the club on and off the field, in particular off the field. And that went hand in hand. Barbs was his vice president at the time, and then took on Barbs presidency on for 2 years. When Barbs took the presidency on, I was still relatively fresh off the boat, so to speak. And he said, "Do you want to come on the committee? I know you've worked in the AFL, etc." And I said, "Look, Barbs, quite openly, I just want to have a year off. I've been working in the AFL system for sort of 13 years. I just want to come up, be a lad, play some footy, drink some beer, and not worry about the admin side of it." And I'm glad I did that, because it really gave me a refresher. And I guess it was then, instead of Barbs having to ask me, it was me offering at the end of the year that I want to be involved in some capacity. And yeah, went on the committee for a year, and then obviously Barbs was relocating, eventually relocating back to Melbourne with his family. And he asked if I had any interest in the president's role. I said, happy to do it if he felt it had value. Ironically enough, because of my work situation at the time, my inauguration at the AGM I actually missed, which all of the committee members have been reminding me about for the past 18 months. So I wasn't actually there when I actually got voted in as president, which didn't get the presidency off to a great start. But as I said before, I'm so blessed I've got such a big committee that does such a power of work that it really makes my life very, very easy.
Yeah. Look, we've seen an enormous amount of growth within AFLW circles and local development in recent times. And I guess we've seen a real big cultural shift in some clubs, and the Hong Kong Dragons are no different. For a club that probably hasn't been against local development, but hasn't really put some things in place until the scaffold sort of came into gear. But AFLW in particular has gone absolute gangbusters in Hong Kong. 2 grand finals in the first 2 years, and probably unlucky to miss out last year against the really, really strong Malaysian Warriors. What has the benefits been to your club culture, and what does the landscape look like moving forward, do you think?
Yeah, look, good question. So I spent 8 or 9 years working the AFL system in Melbourne. So I'd seen the explosion of AFLW there firsthand. The league I was managing at the time, the junior girls participation rate went up like 500% or something. And I saw the benefits to those clubs, and also, most importantly, some of the old footy head stalwarts that were against it at the start. And I'd seen the benefits, both on and off the field socially that all those clubs have had. I've really got to tip my hat to Jess Cole, who's our AFLW president. She's been playing for the Cobras and with Dragons. She was on her own for a very long time, playing for. She's just messaged now. I've really got to tip my hat to Jess. She's done a power of work to get the club to where it's at. I think over the past 2 years, we've had upwards of about 48 or 50 different individual ladies come down and train. On any given night, we've got 25 to 30 on the track. They built an unbelievable culture on and off the field, and the benefits of the club more broadly has just been fantastic. Going from a very male-only club at the time that maybe had about 80 players, and now we're a club that's sort of 130 to 150. Wow. And I think it also crystallised in the first year when we went to KL, to Malaysia. And, one of my fondest memories, I love playing with the guys. One of my fondest memories was after we finished in Malaysia and all the Dragons, cans of beer in hand, lining the boundary, screaming our guts out to cheer on the girls. That was a really good moment. Yeah.
We'll touch on base on that a little bit in a moment. And just out to Jess, we hope we can interview you in the coming months as well. You're on our to-do list of panel that we'd love to interview over time. Last footy question, and this one sort of ties in a family sort of setting. And before I do, look, the Hong Kong Dragons have got a couple of siblings there, the Oxfords. They do a ton of work on and off the field, and they're best known for their work off the field, not so much on the field. But we'll go to where we'll paint the picture back to the Asian Champs, inaugural AFLW. Your sister Jess was an absolute powerhouse that day, and I was super impressed. I thought she was probably one of the best players of the entire tournament, and loved umpiring those particular games that she played in. But I think it's the first in AFL Asia history that a brother and a sister have been awarded all Asian honours in the same year. She was obviously played a master stroke up forward, but your iron fist in the backlines for the Hong Kong Dragons probably went under the radar. And I guess, what did it feel like? We've seen the photo, what we did earlier in the week with you and your sister there with the medals around your neck. That's a magnificent achievement. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, look, it was nice of you guys to use that photo. That's one of my fondest moments because I played. I mean, obviously, brother, sister, very, very close. We're only 18 months apart. Jess has been an outstanding sportswoman in her own right. Captain of Hong Kong netball for 5 years. Nearly got Hong Kong for the first time to the Netball World Cup. Always been a talented athlete, whether it's tennis, any ball sports, basically. So, it did take a little bit of begging to get her to come down and join. But once she came down and joined, I didn't think Jess Cole or the coach or any of the girls were ever going to not let her come to champs, and I'm really glad she did. She obviously, I've got brother and president bias here, but I thought she was absolutely dominant that day. And as I said, it was literally one of my proudest moments being part of the club was, sitting on that boundary line, just screaming, riding every bump and, oohing at every missed goal and probably screaming a little bit too much at the umpire. Sorry, Matty. So we'll keep that off the record. But look, for her to get all Asian. I mean, we could have. There's such a healthy spread that day with Jay Cole and Katie Cladd and so many other Kira Fitzsimon, so many other good players. But to be able to have that moment and have that medal, my sister's actually expecting, so she's got a baby dragon coming out around Christmas time. And so when she made the announcement at a family dinner to about 10 of her nearest and dearest, I presented her with a little baby mini Dragons jumper, and I've got a nice photo of that. So she's married a South African pilot. He loves his rugby, but I'm trying to make sure that when the baby boy comes out, that he'll be very much have a Sharon in hand. So it's really nice that we've got that, got that bond, because it's hard for brother and sister to be able to partake in any other sport. So yeah, it was really nice. And very, very quickly for my medal, I think it's just a reflection of the ball being down my end at full back for so long, and my neck still hasn't recovered from seeing the goals go over my head all day. So I think that's the only reason I got it. So, but it was nice to play with some AFL players like Aaron Edwards and Troy Luff, and I know those that are listening are going to scull a beer every time I drop an AFL player's name. So I'll try and get a few more in before the end of the discussion.
Funny you mentioned that. I don't want to name my spies, but I tried to dig a bit of dirt, Sandman. And that was his thing. He said the drinking game is in development. You mentioned your time working with the AFL a bit, and Barry's also jumped on the comments and said that you don't mind dropping a few names. Tell us about some of the people that you did work with and also come across during your time with the AFL.
Yeah, look. I absolutely adored my time working the AFL. Obviously, it's been a passion of mine since I was, came out of the womb. So I absolutely adored and really, really thankful for the experiences and the friendships that I've met through the AFL. I mean, I was a white kid that grew up on the Gold Coast, and then my first job effectively out of uni was flying to Durham, which I've never been to before, and went up there and worked for 2.5 years for the AFL there, and then did 2.5 years in Alice Springs, and that was an amazing eye opener. I think there's so much of Australia that's not seen by Aussies. It's cheaper and it's easier and it's quicker for us to fly to Bali and Phuket and Fiji, rather than go and see Kakadu or the Kimberleys or the far north Queensland, etc. So I was very fortunate. I got out to get to all four corners of the NT, and then obviously moving down to the epicenter of the AFL and being in Melbourne for about 8 or 9 years and working in the bubble. First at Richmond for 2 or 3 years, and then I was managing a junior football league called South Metro Junior Footy League for 4 years. So I think my last job, that's the first time I'd managed a junior football league, and what I was really taken aback by was the amount of work it took to volunteer to get a club to field players every week. I mean, as a player, I played at juniors, I played at seniors, I did some umpiring from some spare cash in uni, but I'd never seen the administration side of it, and I think that's why I'm trying in a very, very small way at the moment to volunteer to be on a committee and try and give back, because I think some people can grossly underestimate how much effort goes in from committees, whether they're junior clubs, senior clubs, to get teams on the on the park every week. So it's really nice to have that experience. So I lost someone that I know, got to know very, very well with Shane Tuck last week. So that's been pretty hard. So but really good friends. Yeah, really good times. So yeah, it's good.
No more names to drop.
We'll keep
People sitting by the
we're doing rapid fire, so I won't get back to Brisbane to play with Beamsy, or we've got to go to King Island Open to play with Sully. So
here we go.
How many do you want? I want to try and get the guys as smashed as possible. So
yeah, footy starts soon. Sophie Oxford's hoping that you'll be at the next committee meeting. She's looking forward to that up while you were mentioning committees.
Yeah.
Now,
Sox is a ripper. Sox, you were talking about the Ox before. It was Ox's birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
His 31st, and he's kind of off the committee, but on the committee is special projects. You can read into that what you want, but Sox is. She does a power of work for us. With the mailer, with the graphic design. She's just one of a lot that really, just gives so much to the club. So yeah, no surprise that she's on here.
Yeah, fantastic. Now I somehow get myself roped into a few different endurance challenges, but you seem to actively seek these type of things out. Can you tell us about a few of the some of the endurance things that you've done and any other sporting pursuits outside the footy?
You're making me blush, mate. So firstly on the endurance, you're talking about the ultra marathons. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So my job before my current job, or previous job as of yesterday, was I was CEO of Action Asia Events, which is Asia's largest ultra marathon running company. I had absolutely no background in working or running at all. I'm not a runner, for those that know me, hence the Sloth nickname. But because of that, I was very lucky to go to places like Nepal and Mongolia where we did races. And in a couple of days, I decided to stupidly take part. So pictures say 1,000 words, but they also lie a bit on Instagram. So if I'm looking very lean and taunt running through the Mongolian sand dunes, you probably didn't see the 4 hours of me walking either side of that photo being taken, to be honest. So
that's the 4 kilometre mark.
Yeah. Look, going back to the other supporting pursuits and going back to what Maddie said earlier about what do you really love about Hong Kong, given we're so small, it is very congested, one of the most congested cities on the planet. But because of that, it's really quick and easy to get across town and see people. So because of that, I might be playing Monday tennis, Tuesday footy, Wednesday boot camp, Thursday basketball, etc. I can do that in Melbourne, but I'm probably traveling 45 minutes in traffic to basketball, 45 minutes back. I used to have to travel over an hour to get to football training from where my work was. You just can't do that. So it's a luxury that we're very lucky to be able to afford to have here, given the proximity of everything. And because of that, you can socialise more, you can, play more sport, you can do a lot more things. So one of the benefits of living in the 852.
Sloth, you've done a lot of travelling like most of us, and we all have the travelling bug. And I think one of the best parts of living in Asia, you can tune in and out of different countries pretty quickly with the travel time. You're known for some exciting and prestigious type travelling. Can you give us a bit of an insight into some of your travels and what's on your bucket list moving forward?
Good question. So very, very luckily, at the start of this year, my beautiful sister and Helgard, her husband, got married in South Africa. So we spent 3 weeks down there. So we got to South Africa when Wuhan blew up. And we actually had a member of the wedding party who I won't disclose, but had been in Wuhan 2 days before it blew up. He was there on work. So that was a bit close to home. And when we were down in South Africa, no one took COVID seriously. We just sort of some China flu. And then by the end of the 3 weeks when we were flying back, I think I spent about $8,000 Hong Kong on face masks and sanitizers because Hong Kong had been cleaned out. So that was by far and away, having all my family and friends there. And I'd never been to South Africa. That was the best trip I've ever done. Talking about prestigious, what are you referring to?
West Alps, pretty good.
Look. I mean, this is the life expats live, right? I mean, Chinese New Year last year, I'm a semi-bogan from the Gold Coast that grew up on the beaches. I hate the cold weather. I moved to Hong Kong so I can wear shorts 12 months of the year. So I've never been in the snow. I got roped in by my sister and her friends to go to Chamonix. And it's very expat, right? I'm telling my mates back home, I'm going on my first ever ski trip. And they're like, where are you going? I'm like, Chamonix. And I'm like, you sound like a bit of a pompous wanker. But it was good times. And you're right, the privilege we've got as expats here is, especially, Hong Kong, Singapore, Vietnam, etc. We're kind of halfway to everywhere, right? So it's a lot, the affordability and accessibility is a lot easier. So looking forward to the thing I'm really looking forward to is the next Asian Champs. I think, I put my club polo on today. It's the first time I put it on since Champs last year. And it just immediately brings back so many good memories. We had a huge contingent that travelled. I think we had the most ever. We might have had about 83, including volunteers and coaches. So we had it was we took over the Hard Rock Hotel and all the sites in Pattaya. So really looking forward to being able to do a footy trip again.
We're all looking forward to it, mate. It's going to be outstanding once we can actually get out there and get amongst it again. That time of the podcast, we'll reflect on some questions that may cause a bit of havoc. We're going to the Tribal Talks Friendly Fire Round. Thanks to Big Lakey and all the team there at Tribal Sport for all your sporting needs. Any of their apparel products are absolutely outstanding. So get on the Lakey. He just sent me through a message. I don't know if he's listening.
He's a good man, Lakey. I know him through Queensland footy circles. So.
Yeah, well, just give your blokes a reminder at the Hong Kong Masters, the Dragons, the old Masters, they still own some cash from last year. So,
the Vikings did it.
Yeah, that's a message I received earlier.
Oh, well, they're not bad. They came down to Pop Falam the last time we played with them, and they cleaned the esky out. So they've got form.
Yeah, they've got form. They also owe cash, so hopefully you can sort that out. But that's
I'll try.
Story. Over to you. Get some bang bang crang and put out those spot fires for us, please.
Right. I think we touched on the nicknames a little bit before, so I'll jump straight into what clubs have you actually played for before?
Wow, what clubs?
Footy clubs, yeah.
Let me see. Service Paradise Demons, Darwin Buffaloes, Yuendamu Magpies, South Alice Springs, Fitzroy Stars is my last club. Which is an Aboriginal football club in Melbourne that plays in the Northern Football League. So yeah, that was an interesting experience. So playing with Alan Murray, Andy Lovett, Lionel Proctor. There's three more AFL players for you boys. So that's bottoms up, Gun Bay. Quite a few, and then obviously up here I play for the Mighty Typhoons. So we won the scaffold 2 years ago, which is a really fun memory. It randomly popped up on my Facebook a couple of days ago, and we've got this great photo of spraying beer over the departing Stutchy, who's a club stalwart, whose dad helped set up scaffold, and he was moving back to Stutchy was moving back to Adelaide. So yeah, a very fun moment.
I get an Asian footy reminder every week pretty much this year. You probably get them every other year, but that doesn't matter because you're looking forward to the next footy tour. But this year I've just sat there every week, like on a Monday or something. So what's your preferred position? Fullback's not normally the chosen position of a player.
Yeah, look, surprisingly from a very young age. So when I was at Service Paradise Demons up until about under 13s, I think, I just wanted to be Wayne Carey. I was upset. Actually, before that, given my Adelaide birthplace, I had number 6, Adelaide Crows Tony Modra, because he's standing on heads every week. And then, as I said before, AFL was a foreign concept in Queensland at the time, so we couldn't get it on TV. So it felt like at that stage that the only club I could see on TV was North Melbourne. They owned Friday Night Footy.
Yeah.
Albeit I had to start with Dad till about 11 o'clock at night to see it on delay because you get live footy. So I just wanted to be Wayne Carey. So I went from having number 6 at the Demons to having number 18, and was in love with Wayne Carey. But then I don't know. I can't remember how I ever got thrown back. But as soon as I got thrown back, I loved it. So actually, one of my more humorous junior stories was in about under 11s. We had sort of under 11s, under 14s, under 17s. Like we didn't have enough in the whole league, not just the club. Hence the scarcity of AFL players at the time. And we'd always go. Our top age would always win the flag. The next year would be bottom, and then the next year would be middle. So in a bottom age, I think it might have been first year and under 13s. We got beaten by Palm Beach Currumbin in about a 50-minute match, 4 times 12s or something. 241-0. And I got the McDonald's award. I don't know if you remember the McDonald's award that has the $5 coupon and the Happy Meal. I got the McDonald's award because I was full back, and I think I had 37 kicks because they kicked 37. I was tickled pink. I got a Happy Meal and leather poisoning. The best day of my footy career.
What's your favourite number?
It was always 18, but then I've since changed to 2. I didn't want to be too big a head ball and go number 1, but it's always been 18 because of Carey, and then I don't really know the reason. 2's my lucky number. But very quickly, going back to the full back as well, I commonly, it's an open known joke here at the Dragons that I don't play on anyone, whether that's at Scaffold or Champ. So, if it worked for Dustin Fletcher for about 436 games, not playing on anyone for the last 10 years, that's how I'm trying to prolong my career. So, officially full back, but I don't actually play on anyone.
Might give that a try. Gets a bit tougher now. The best player in AFL Asia?
I play with him. Very fortunately, Sam Agars. I'm very biased, but Sammy, yeah, I mean, you just got to watch him last year, right? Nearly single-handedly dragged us to the promised land. So he just does some things at training or at Scaffold, just the way he moves, and for a guy of his size, he's commonly referred to as the difference. I think when he came here, he promised us 4 flags, and I think he's only won 1. I might have won none. So the difference has got a bit of work to do before we put him out the park.
Still time. So who'd be your best teammates?
Oh, long list. On or off the ground?
You can do both.
Oh, okay.
Give us the Dragons and give us the Slothington best.
So best team. What I love before I start naming names, what I love about the Dragons is there's no us and them mentality. I know, speaking to some other clubs either in Asia or back in Melbourne, the ones and the Rezzies, for lack of a better word, there's a bit of a distance. But whether it's on the field at training or it's playing Scaffold or it's off the field, what I'm really proud about is that from our best player down to our newest player, our worst player, and everywhere in between, everyone's just treated as equals. So some of my best mates play in what we call the dark side Dragons in the twos. So you mentioned Sandman, who we've lost to Vietnam, who will be a big pickup for you guys. Yeah. But it's really off the field. You've got some Hall of Famers like Josh Hammer-Mahoney. Christian Cook was best on ground in Vietnam. Hashtag Bogut. I could go on and on. Daz Whitfield, the old dog. When we went to Singapore 2 years ago, which has been commonly referred to as the treat yourself tour. All the boys will like that little in joke. But there's honestly too many to name. Losing stalwarts like Wino, who's since departed a couple of weeks ago, is relocated after 20 odd years to Korea. There's just too many to name.
Yeah. So who'd be your most annoying teammates?
That's a good one. Most annoying teammates. I would have said Bales, but Bales isn't here anymore. So hopefully that makes his way back. As much as we love him, I don't know. There's not too many that are too annoying.
Still being politically correct.
It's probably they probably say me after I've had 1,000.
Yeah. We've started.
I can definitely get in the pesting red zone. That's for sure.
We've started a Swans podcast every other week, and I think I'm going to stop asking who the most annoying Swanee is, because I think I'm 3 from 4, and the 4th one was me. Who would be the most difficult opponents that you come up against?
Good question. Opponents is in team or individual?
Can be both.
Okay. Look, opponents naturally last year, and I'll put an asterisk against their name because I'll provide my rationale. I think obviously PNG. I mean, just young, fit, well trained, well coached. I was really surprised which I probably shouldn't have been, about their footy IQ. As a defender, that, as I said, I don't really like to play on anyone. I just like to swan around and take intercept marks. I just expected I was going to have a field day. They're just going to bomb it in long, just dump kick after dump kick. But they lower their eyes. They make good decisions. Their footy IQ, I think, was outstanding. They're also running around with, 24-year-old bodies and six-packs. All of us, the mid-30s, washed up over the hill players. So they were pretty tough. Outside of those, because I think they're in a special bracket, they'll probably win the next 5 in a row. Look, Singapore's I won't say arch enemy. We've got a really, really healthy relationship and rivalry. We love, touring down there. It's been a while since they've come here. We want to get them back soon. So I think we've got, there's a natural synergy. A lot of Singapore players relocate for work to Hong Kong. A lot of Hong Kong boys have gone to Singapore. So, probably those.
What's that one there? What's How's your track record against Big Nashville? Tim Nash, you got more credit points in the bank there, or has Nash got the hold of you a couple of times?
I don't think I've gone so bad against Nashy, I don't think. But then again, how can you tell? I'm usually playing 15 metres off him, so it's a bit hard to judge one-on-ones when I'm nowhere near him. But yeah, I don't know. But Nashy's moving to Myanmar of all places, isn't he?
Yeah, he's moved to Myanmar, but he doesn't mind
Myanmar.
one over the back, so it's probably a good matchup here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. There's some decent playing at fullback. Yes, especially 2 years ago, there was some decent, some really decent forwards running around. I mentioned Aaron Edwards. You got Nashi. You've got the big tall guy from Bali who used to play a bit of waffle, whose name escapes me at the moment. It's there's some serious players running around, not just forward, but all over the ground. So,
yep. What's your best AFL Asia memory?
Best AFL Asia memory. I mean, look, on a personal note, obviously playing in the grand final last year, that was really, that was only my my third chance. We didn't fire a shot in Vietnam 3 years ago. 2 years ago in Malaysia, we've had a really, really good side and just for whatever reason didn't come to it. So last year, just being on that role, getting up over Bali in the preliminary rounds, which that was, we kind of always knew it was going to be us or Bali, play PNG and the granny. And then playing in the granny and, having all the eyes on you. And, we were cooked by that stage, but that was really good. From a family and a club point of view, I think I keep going back to that AFLW grand final in KL, like sitting on the side. We busted our ass playing footy all day. We're about 3 or 4 cans deep. Honestly, I haven't barracked that hard for a very long time, inclusive of watching North play in the 96 and 99 grand finals. So, probably that on the field. And then last year off the field in Pattaya, we booked out an Irish pub in Pattaya just for a contingent of 80 odd. All the two guys, the two male teams there together and the AFLW there together, all our any family or friends, coaches, volunteers. And I've got a photo of us. We all had these shirts on that we got made up for someone's going away. And I've got this photo of me being at the front of the group and walking down the street as we're leaving that bar and going to another. And there's about 50 of the 80 people in the background. And it's just guys, girls. And it just symbolises what the whole playing footy in Asia experience is, right? I look at that. There's Aussies, there's Irish, there's New Zealand, there's Poms, there's Sri Lanka, all ages, all races, all sizes, all ability, and we're all together having a bloody great time. So that's probably the best one off the field.
Yeah, unreal. What's your favourite meal?
Favourite meal? So firstly, I don't cook.
Yeah.
One of the benefits of living in Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's right.
So I give Deliveroo and Foodpanda a bit of a flogging, but favourite meal, favourite cuisine actually where you are, really would be Vietnamese. So we've got a place here called Bet. It's cheap, cheerful, it's amazing food. So I'd probably go to the Vietnamese.
Okay. What's your favourite holiday destination? We touched on travel a little bit before.
I think. Look, I love going on a surfing holiday. I love going on golf holiday. A bit of a golf tragic. But what I've really enjoyed lately is being able to get to Europe in summer. So given I worked in the AFL for 12 years, obviously you can't take leave during Aussie winter, which is European summer. So firstly getting to Spain and Ibiza a couple of years ago with Hammer and a couple of the boys. And then last year getting to Greece and Mykonos. It's stuff I've seen on other people's social media for 10 or 12 years. It drives me crazy. I'm driving in 6 degrees sleet rain to some wet football oval to get bashed up by the other team, and everyone's off sunning themselves in Europe. So Europe in the summer at the moment. I feel like I'm playing a bit of catch-up footy on that one.
Yeah, fair enough. We've gone through a fair few different areas of your life, but what would be 3 things that people may not know about you?
People may not know about me. I'm a little bit of an oversharer, so I think most people know most about me. What can I say? One, there you go. Sophie Oxford, sloth hike, sloth run, sloth drinks. 3 things, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, one I'm unemployed as of yesterday. So there you go. Announcement to the world. Anyone's got a job out there for Slothington, give me a call, 1-800-SLOTH.
Yep.
Two, I don't know, 2 and 3. As much as I like to take the P155 out of myself, somewhere buried in that sloth brain, I actually have quite the intellect. So, I think it's commonly surprised when people find out my academia career and my academic scholarship at school that they're quite surprised. So maybe that one. Not that I've lived up to it. It's wasted talent.
So if you could have dinner with any 4 people on the planet, who would they be?
Can I name 4 AFL players so the boys have got to drink 4 more beers?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Duck under the bridge.
Well, you could say these are 4 people I've had dinner with.
Any four people. Wow. Any 4 people. Okay, sport. I'll go Michael Jordan, kid who was basketball obsessed, even more so than footy or cricket through the 90s. You know, that One Last Dance documentary, I binged that in about 2 days. Just what he's done, both, you know, not only in his sporting career, but now he's worth, you know, $2.5-3 billion. What he's done with the Jordan brand business wise, he's just so competitive, just such a winner. 2, God, I should have really prepared for this. 2 would be someone out of the business field. So maybe like a Ray Dalio, the author of Principles, or Simon Sinek. I read a huge amount of business. That's one thing people probably don't know about me. I do read quite a lot. Read a lot of business autobiographies and business books. So someone from the business world. I've got someone from the sport world. And the 2 others, I'm not religious. I'll have to come up with 2 more. Sorry, I'm a bit of a wet lettuce on that one.
No worries. Final Tribal Talks question. But in your opinion, what does the future of AFL Asia hold? And probably you've got as much qualifications to speak on this as anyone with the background and where you've been the last few years. And how can it impact the region?
So first and foremost, at an AFL Asia level, I mean, obviously I'm not on the committee or anything like that, and I tip my hat to people like Gailey and yourself and everyone that's put so much work in over so many years to get it to where it's at the moment. Really excited to see the AFL invest, obviously with a full-time role with Simon Highfield this year. I think I said I was very open at the President's meeting last year that in my experience managing community or country footy leagues in Australia, that had since been taken over by the AFL, I saw firsthand the benefit to that, even though some of the member clubs, might get territorial around, control and ownership and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's really sad for AFL Asia that this COVID's hit when it has, because, to get to AFL Asia, Gailey and the rest of the committee, to get it to a point where the AFL, wants to invest a full-time resource and additional money into the region. And I know firsthand the AFL doesn't like spending their own money. They're very good at getting money out of government partners and corporate partners to fund their program. That's why there's such a beast off the field commercially.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping once post-COVID that that resourcing, that support stays, because there is a large participation base, there is a large consumer base, there is a large follower base here in Asia for the AFL. And then, look, hopefully, I mean, no one knows what the future will hold in Asia, but it was interesting speaking to a lot of the presidents last year that it seemed, unfortunately, that there was a common trend that, the expat numbers, in whether it's speaking to Caroline in Myanmar or speaking to Nash in Singapore, speaking to the Geckos guys in Bali, that unfortunately it seemed there was a common trend that most clubs were actually there was more expats leaving than coming in. Certainly we've seen that firsthand in Hong Kong, and what the future holds for the next 12 to 24 months, I don't know. But I really hope that, whatever industries that are supporting expats, and in particular Aussies working in Asia, that they can continue to thrive, because I think having those expats in those countries obviously provides a great network for AFL Asia, and may it continue.
Yep. I'll close out Tribal Talks with another message from Michael up in Guangzhou. He can't wait to get back to the scaffold and start dominating you Hong Kong boys again.
Michael has got more front than David Jones, mate. I mean, I heard Ticketmaster were brought out, by AEG, but I reckon Michael's got more tickets than both of them combined. So I love you, Michael. I'll get you in a Dragons jersey one day, mate.
Coming.
All right. Thanks very much, Bill. And that concludes the end of the Tribal Sport Friendly Fire Round. We might finish things up there, boys. It's been an absolutely outstanding hour. We're about 5 seconds off the hour mark. We've loved having you on board, Sloth. You've been an absolute champion with your time and what you've been able to provide us today. And Bill, you've been on fire as well, just quietly. So, no, thanks very much, boys. We'll wrap it up there. Big Slothington, you've done an outstanding job. You've been absolutely brilliant ambassador for not only the Hong Kong Dragons, but the game itself in the region. And thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, guys. Great to chat.
All right. So we got Matty Gale, Billy Bang Bang Krang, and the Big Slothington. We're out for the night, and we'll speak to you again soon. Cheers.
I'm off to have a can.